Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to basically use this opportunity to share with you the various concerns that we heard about outdoor heaters, how they have to be placed, what kind of heaters they have to be. Um, just this morning, we received an additional clarification from the California Department of Public Health with respect to tent structures. So we are processing that as we speak right now. So this is our effort to reach out to all of you, hear what you have to say, and with that also we are sharing with you what we have enforced with respect to operate safely outdoor dining operations. And you see we have quite a number of staff assembled for that. We have our fire chief here and our fire marshal, Sichelle Young, that some of you know already. Then we have our community development director, Kim Cole, here, as well as the two members of her team that she oversees, which is the chief building official, Lori Lynn Williamson, as well as our code compliance officer that you have seen probably also a couple of times. Some of you probably more than you like to in your businesses. Bill Moritz is here with us as well. And of course, we all got kicked off by Ned Roshanatha Sierra, our assistant city manager. So with that, I punt it over to Ned, and Ned will introduce the first one of our team who will briefly explain the topic.
Great. Thank you, Hans. We are going to try to keep this brief. We'll start off with our fire chief, Gaudens Panholzer, talking about fire safety. We'll talk about fire code, building code, enforcement aspects, and then spend some time on Q&A. Now, leading up to today, we received a few questions as of this morning about specific models of outdoor heaters. We're not going to be able to go into specifics on that, but we will talk more broadly and then handle specific items on a case-by-case basis because of how these outdoor heaters may be applied in different situations. So Gaudens, Chief Gaudens, if you could please go ahead and kick us off with fire safety.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning. This has become a really critical topic, and I know for all of you, you're very concerned about maintaining business as much as possible with the balance of the COVID struggles, as well as the changing weather. Outdoor dining was nice when the sun was shining and the weather was great, and we've really enjoyed a long streak of great weather, but it's gotten quite chilly out, and we expect the winter storms to show up. And so we understand fully the need to create an outdoor space that functions to keep people frequenting your businesses, and we just want to be sure that we do it in a safe way. There are many concerns that come to mind when we talk about outdoor dining and putting heating systems in, and among those are improper use of heaters, that people are getting heaters that were not designed for the purpose that they're being put in. And so we need to be sure that we use heaters in the way that they are designed. We also need to make sure that we construct that we build the outdoor dining spaces with coverings and tents or awnings that are also suitable to be used for the conditions we're putting them in. And then we also need to make sure that we store the fuel, the propane, et cetera, in proper ways. And we'll go into, Sichelle will go into some details on that in a minute here. Then there's a whole nother aspect too, and that is that we need to make sure that we provide for the safe egress of people in a gathered space. That is normally something that's accounted for with proper exiting out of the building. But now we put new structures in place, and we put heaters in, and we might put them in a place where they're convenient for their use and for providing the heat, but they end up obstructing an egress path or something like that, or we run extension cords and things like that. So those are all concerns that we've discovered. And while COVID has suspended many things, fires and problems like that are unaware of COVID and could still have devastating results. And we understand the struggle that businesses are going through, and want to work with you to enable you to stay open and serving customers. But we also get it that any kind of significant event in your business will probably create long-term economic hardships as well. And so we want to prevent those. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Fire Marshal Sechelle Young now, and she will kind of talk a little bit in more detail about the specific issues that I raised, but we'll not get into, as mentioned before, we won't get into specific makes and models of heaters or specific applications, because that really needs to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So once again, thank you for joining us this morning, and Sechelle, take it away.
Good morning, all. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone for organizing this. We really want to get out the information. We put out a bunch of information back in June and July because we kind of understood from the state that the COVID regulations were going to be going well into the holiday season. And we really wanted to get everyone prepared to start thinking about heaters and other elements that you can use for outdoor heating. I've been talking to other fire marshals and other districts around the country about outdoor heating to see if there's any other types of heaters that they are using, or if they're allowing anything to be lesser on the fire code. And everyone is very strict, and they're not, everyone's still is being very restrictive of all the different types of heaters that you can use. For example, all the mushroom heaters that everyone is going and buying from the Lowe's and Home Depot, or any type of liquid fueled propane heaters, people are just rushing and buying them. These aren't allowed to be underneath canopies, or they cannot be allowed within 5 feet of any type of combustible material. And also they can't be within 10 feet of any type of exit or entrance or egress into a building. So, and it's going to be really hard, especially on the streets and stuff, because it's so crowded as it is already with trying to get tables out there and having a walkway and egress and storage, and there's no room. So we're really trying to have people to look at different applications, heating applications outside that are more permanent. There's infrared heaters that can be attached to structures outside that are more permanent, that won't be such a hassle with having the storage of also all the propane tanks. Per the fire code, also propane tanks can't be stored inside any buildings. And we've been trying to work up with in the different districts in Carmel and Pacific Grove, more like a community storage area that's outdoors that everyone can have, that the propane folks can also come and exchange and have it there on site, so it's not all stored in somebody's back closet by the water heater or something, which causes a really terrible fire hazard. Also, a lot of people are just going out and buying canopies that aren't flame resistant and placing them above lights, above fire sprinkler heads, and blocking other things. Before you guys go out and buy stuff, or just reach out, give us a call. We'll come and do a site inspection. We'll look and see what you guys are trying to do or what you want to do, so we can all meet the intent of the fire code. Fire code's not black and white. There are ways that there are exceptions, just as long as that we meet the intent of the code and it's safe for everybody, and that you can stay out there. And we don't want to be policing this. We want people to come and enjoy the outdoors, enjoy Monterey, and continue the businesses going. But at the same time, we do have to still provide life safety for the patrons, yourself, your business, and the workers. What else was there? I think we'll just go from there. There's just a lot to cover, and it's hard to pile it all in, but I just want you guys just to feel free just to email me, call me, and I'll come out and do site inspections just to make the process easier.
Great, thanks Sechelle, and both Sechelle and Lori Lynn and their teams have been working very hard to try to be as responsive as possible to all the requests that are coming in, and going out and meeting with you all. The idea here, when council 2 weeks ago took action to authorize outdoor heaters on the wharves, it was very clear that it was as long as there was fire marshal or deputy fire marshal approval. And it is, we realized, you know, outdoor dining is important to the livelihoods of those who work and are employed by businesses on the wharf and elsewhere in the community, whether that's Cannery Row or North Fremont downtown. But life safety is number one priority, and some of the challenges we've seen have been a little alarming. So we're going to go to Lori Lynn Williamson, who is our chief building official, and she'll cover some general guidelines and talk about the building permitting process. So Lori Lynn, thanks for joining.
Yes. So thank you all for this opportunity. Answer
Lori Lynn, we
your
hear you. We can't hear you right now.
Give you a little info. Generally speaking, the building.
Lori Lynn, I'm sorry, we're having a hard time hearing you. So I'm not sure if your internet
Can you hear me
connection is cutting out.
Now?
It's really poor, unfortunately. Yeah. Let's see if, are you able to?
Stop your
I
video
think
and try it that way. Sometimes that helps.
Yep.
Okay, let's give that a try. All right, can you hear me now? Yes? All right.
A little better.
I'll give it my best shot, and you can interrupt me if I break up. I want to thank you for tuning about.
Yeah, sorry, Lori. We really are having a hard time hearing you.
Assist in reviewing your proposed.
Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing Lori, so I am afraid that we've never had this problem before. I'm not sure what internet connection she's on. Okay, I'm trying to mute her because we really can't hear Lori whatsoever. So let's do this. Can you all hear me okay? Yes, okay, we just can't hear Lori. So what we're gonna do is try to reconnect. Kim, do you think you'll be able to cover a little bit for her?
I can try, at least
Our
to get us started, and
okay.
then we'll need to follow up with Lori, because Lori is our technical expert. What we want to do is encourage people after, if you've done sort of a pre-application meeting with Shachelle and our fire prevention staff, which is a great offer from them to talk about your heaters or your specific situation, that you actually file a permit with the building department. And that's at gogreen@monterey.org. And that's for a lot of your tent structures as well as your heaters. They need to undergo a formal review and approval process. So we're there to work with you on that. We're turning those around fairly quickly. But please don't go out and purchase the items and then we need to get the approval first. So we're going to try to make that happen for you. So I know Shachelle and our building staff are working very closely on the tents as well as heaters. So please just submit those applications at gogreen@monterey.org. And then Bill Moritz, do you have anything to add to that? Because I know you're out in the field with Shachelle, and Shachelle, feel free to speak up as well about the permit process and any of the review issues.
Yeah, I think that I can speak a little bit to that, and that I came from the building department, and knowing that they're very accessible, and they actually have put up quite a bit of information on the building and safety website. So go to the monterey.org, choose building and safety. They have a huge list of information and applications for tent structures, for building permits, for electrical permits, things that you're going to need, and they are available. And they even have counter hours now. If it's an over-the-counter permit, something straightforward and simple, you need to add some electrical circuits, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 1 to 3 over at the building department over on Pacific Street. at Colton Hall, they are available for you there. So they're really trying to provide as much availability as possible. And I'm happy to be a go-between and an intermediary. If you have a question about whether you need a permit or not, approach me, send me an email, give me a call. I'll be happy to meet you at your business and coordinate that.
Great. And Bill, we were hoping to hear from you on the enforcement aspect side. You think you could talk a little bit about
Sure,
that?
I'll continue on for a bit. So let me start with information. The number one question that I get from people is, where do I get the information for what I need? And let me start with the best source. Every day I go to the California Department of Public Health. That's CDPH. That's Charles David Hall Hotel.ca.gov. Okay, you go to that site, and up on top it says, I am looking for, drop down menu. And then under COVID-19, which is in the upper left-hand corner, there are two topics. One is the latest information, and two is guidance documents. Those change on a semi-regular basis. We just got a brand new restaurant guideline on November 24th. We just got new mask guidance on the 16th of November. And we just got tent structures on the 26th. So this information rolls out, and it's all of our responsibilities to keep ourselves informed, read up. As this information is brought out by the California Department of Public Health, we're all trying to adapt to it the best we can. So bring me questions, and if I need to go to the state or the county, I'm happy to do that. And we'll find the answer and try and solve the problem and not make the problem for you guys. So that's where I go for information, as well as I go to Seychelle, I go to Lori Williams, and I'm happy to be the coordinator for that and be the intermediary. I'm out on the field every day, and I really want to be there for you guys. Face coverings are the number one thing that I'm checking for. Table spacing, making sure that it's 6 feet from the back of one chair to the back of another chair. And then in addition, now working with the chief and the fire marshal, fire code and building code. I'm keeping an eye out for as much as I can. And I really prefer to lead by education as opposed to citation. It's a much better way to work. But at the end of the day, science, eventually it'll be a citation, but that's the absolute last resort. At the end of the day, we want the safety of your employees and the safety of your customers being our priority to make sure that that happens. And one thing that you guys can do to aid in that is making sure that your host or hostess, when they seat a table, remind them about wearing a mask to the restroom. Remind them to leave their mask on until their drinks are served. The longer we can leave those masks on, the better. And just like I'm trying to provide education to you guys, make it a part of your restaurant experience to educate your patrons on how to have a good, safe experience when they're out dining. And I think that that's the number one thing that we can do.
Great, thank you, Bill. I was just trying to see if we could have Lori Lynn join us, and I believe she may have been able to call in. Not sure, so let's just take a look and see. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, thanks. We're glad we were able to connect with you on the good old-fashioned telephone line.
Yes, of course.
So we didn't hear anything that you said, so I don't know if you wanted to cover some things. We tried, Kim and Bill tried to cover a little bit of overview, but you're our technical expert, so.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot. Generally, I just wanted to mention that we're kind of the routing point for questions. You can call our number or email us at gogreen@monterey.org. We do issue the permits for temporary tent structures. Any tent over 400 square feet requires a building permit. and we coordinate that review and inspection with the Fire Prevention Division. And other tents that are smaller than that, we would still want to see the layout in regards to the outdoor business permit. And we'll want to ensure that the tables are spaced accordingly, that the dining area is accessible, those basic items. But it seems like today our primary focus is on safety and how to make that dining environment more comfortable for the patrons there on the wharf. While we don't, in the building department, regulate portable appliances, we do issue permits for items such as conduit for electrical, for lighting, or for electrical appliances, or if there's any plumbing required, any gas lines. Those types of things are separate building permits as well. But basically, if you want to put up a tent or operate outdoors, it should have a permit through our office. And these permits, tent permits and the outdoor business permits are no fee. You know, we're trying to accommodate as best we can, keep everyone going out there. Let's see, the other items, you know, we need certificates of insurance. We've even had a couple of businesses. I want to thank you guys. A couple of you have come in yesterday and taken out electrical permits to do some conduit. And so thanks for taking those out. We'll want to be able to inspect that too before everything gets finalized. So again, please reach out to us. We have gogreen@monterey.org is our email. It's our kind of our central point where we can answer your questions. If we don't know the answers, we can reach out to other divisions and get you more information on your proposed use there at the wharf. So thank you, and I'll be available for any questions.
Super. Thanks, Lori. And we will transition now to the Q&A segment of the session. So if you have a question, please raise your hand virtually. If you're using the Zoom app, if you've called into the meeting, please dial *9 to virtually raise your hand, and we will take questions. This is an opportunity to hear from all the experts. And the first person who has their hand raised using the Zoom app is Brad Imamura, and we'll go ahead and allow you to talk and join us. And if you could unmute yourself, please ask your question.
Hey, good morning. And thank you for having this really informative discussion. My question is actually for Bill. How are you coordinating your efforts with the Monterey County Environmental Health Department with their personnel? Obviously, they're involved with the restaurant inspections, and I was a little kind of surprised that you're involved so much with that, that was authority when it involves restaurant inspections and et cetera, et cetera. So how do you coordinate your efforts with them?
Great. Thank you for the question, Brad. My coordination with them has been primarily with the kitchen staff, and because my primary objective is mask compliance, and certainly as we have kitchen staff, wait staff, restaurant staff in contact with each other and with patrons, wearing their mask is certainly of paramount importance. So that was my primary, and as a result, I was going into the kitchen area to check on that, and then simply working with the health department if I saw violations, and we're talking about violations of the mask order. I would let them know, just informative, and say, hey, this is something to follow up with down the line. Occasionally, they would bring complaints to me, so they also receive at the county, and they inform me and say, hey, can you go down and check on this place, see if you can provide some education, let them know that we're hearing from patrons that there might be an issue, check up on it, see if there's any merit to it. And then it just means that we're trying to start with education and make sure that we have as much compliance as possible, because that promotes as much safety as possible.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks, Brad. And for your question, and thanks so much, Bill. Yeah, we know the health department's doing this throughout the county. I mean, they're taking complaints that come in, and then they're also reaching out from there to all the cities to handle enforcement. So it's not just here in the city of Monterey. We've got a call from Laura Bruno. So Laura, welcome. And if you could unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. First, I want to say hi, Bill. Hi, guys. My name is Laura Bruno. I'm GM at Krabby Jim's on the wharf. First, I'd like to say thank you so much to Bill, because he has been so helpful to all of us down there. And he gets the bat into the stick down there. I know he does. I've seen how people react, but he has really been very helpful to all of us. And I just wanted to make sure he gets credit for a great job done. My question is whether it is propane or electric, whatever we do as far as bringing in any type of heating, then we have to submit a permit. Is this correct?
I can answer that. So this is Seychelle. Since you are operating a business and you're going to be operating it out in public way, we have to review what you guys are going to be using. So it's best to submit it with a permit, and then we can review it, and then the accountability is there, so we can make sure that it is legal and we do follow all the requirements and it's safe and there's no liabilities. So that's why we want everyone to come, and permits are free, but this is the accountability process that we have to do. So we don't get complaints from your neighbors or someone else calling in and saying, well, they don't have a permit or
Oh, trust me, and it goes on all the time down there. It's unfortunate. I wish we could all work together as a unit down there, and comes to, but that's just not gonna. I've been on that wharf for 25 years. Hasn't happened yet, and I don't think it's going to. As far as I personally, I think the propane with it, like you said, the restriction, with the 5 feet, it's just, I'm at the most narrow spot on the wharf. And I don't have a lot of room. I mean, I have 7 tables and then a few across the way. I just don't, I think the propane is dangerous. As far as the electric, if I was to just purchase, say, like the same type home plug-in heater that we would use as, an extra thing, would that still then require me to submit to the city for these?
Yes, because you're still going to be using it in the public way.
In a public,
if it's for residential use, you can't use it for so many hours outside. You have to buy commercial, so that it can be withstanding the elements and can be used outside, and so it's not a liability, not to yourself and not to everyone on the wharf.
Exactly.
Everyone to just email us at fireprevention@monterey.org or call us in the office, and I've been reviewing them daily, nightly when they come in, and as long as it meets the intent of the code, then we're fine with it. But we just have to make sure that we're not overloading circuits on top of doing the
that's my concern too, because I think most of them, when I've been looking into a lot of these plug-in heater, I mean, even across the street at Scales, I know that they're like 1,500 watts. And again, these buildings being so old, I plug in 2 of them, I'm tripping the whole building. All my breakers are going off. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna work. So it's, as far as if we have to go in and do some adapting, again, that would be put in when I submit to you what type of heaters I want to use and what I need to do to get them to work, correct?
Yes,
All that
that would
information?
be where you would have to have a licensed contractor do the electrical, follow the electrical code.
Correct, correct.
And that way we're covering all our bases and there's
Right.
liabilities and it's safe that it's being done. And it could be used longer than just the temporary use as well.
Right, right.
I think all this public use of outside is really catching on, not just here, but everywhere else around the country.
Oh, yeah.
People are
Yeah.
liking better to stay outside. So
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
suggest more permanent solutions instead of
Right,
temporary.
right. How about, I noticed like on the opposite side, like on the right-hand side of the wharf, I know I just took a short walk the other day. Scales, I noticed it scales. I noticed maybe even Crab Louis, Domenico's, possibly even Wharfside. There are heaters that are mounted. They look like they've been there for a really, really long time. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that are like up almost high up on.
They're the outdoor, the radiant heaters that are mounted on the walls of the
Yes.
exterior walls of the business. Yes.
Okay.
That is an excellent solution because those are designed exactly for that purpose. And,
For that
and so they
purpose.
meet the code and everything.
Okay, so and Bill, would it be smarter for me to look into something like that so that again it would be more on a permanent basis? I'm trying to figure out, even again, me being, you're down there all the time with such the limited space that I have and still trying, making sure I maintain that 6-foot distance. Where the hell am I going to put a heater, that's not going to interfere with the customer, my staff? You know what I'm saying? It just, I can't see placing a heater right in the middle of all of this, should we look towards something that's mounted up on the wall?
Yeah, there's lots of applications and lots of there's so many nice outdoor radiant heat. Like if you just Google it and if you look at outdoor,
believe me, I've been looking everywhere.
For example, like outdoor breweries in Colorado, they've got it set up to key. There's you just have to do your due diligence and really do the homework, but there's so many great ideas out there. And
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. And now what's submitted? And I hate to ask this, how long does the process take for approval or a negative? Once we submit what the permit to you, is it a 30-day process? What are we looking at here?
We're really working hard to get these done immediately. We have fire and life safety inspections that we have to do as well.
Right.
There's other plan reviews, buildings, and other items that are going on as well. So we are doing our best to keep.
I know. I understand. Believe me, I understand.
Is it accurate, Michelle, to say we're talking about days, not weeks?
Oh, good. Because it just it's definitely something I'd like to get done ASAP. Because I mean during the day is the weather's warm enough. It's not a problem. But again, come 4 o'clock, I have 0 heaters outside. So, there's literally no reason I wouldn't sit outside. You guys wouldn't sit outside. I mean, it's just too darn cold. So, I want the purpose that my boss had me do this meeting today, see where we can go, get out there. Now, let me ask you this. Would it be best that I go look at some items and then submit and see what works before we go purchase anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're recommending for everyone, please, before you go out and buy and start installing, reach out, submit a proposal, submit the permit, and then we'll review, and then you can go out and implement, because it's going to be much more costly to buy something that may not be approved or hire a contractor or what have you.
Right. I know. Believe me, my boss jumped the gun on a few things, and especially at a time where you can't return anything. Bill, I'm going to ask you this: the across the way at Scales, the heaters that they have not the ones up on the wall that are standing up next to the tables. You know which one I'm talking about? Bill?
Yes, what about them?
Are those permittable? If I was to purchase the same type thing?
Those can be permittable, and those have been checked by the fire marshal and the fire chief. And
Okay.
most specifically, just to be a little specific, one of the most important things is UL certification. And but you know, again, this is all a matter of making sure that you run it by the fire prevention and the building department first. And this is where your licensed general contractor or licensed electrician is your best friend. They're the ones
Right.
who have the experience and the talent to design these systems for you, and let them do the design work, let them come up with the creative solutions, run it by us, and working with a professional, we'll be able to come up with something that will be a much better solution, probably in the long run, more economical.
Absolutely.
And certainly safer in the long run.
Okay. And out of curiosity, has it been approved that propane heaters can be used on the wharf, or are we trying to steer away from that?
They can be used, but you still have to follow the fire code. We can't just throw up
Exactly.
these propane heaters or these ones that you would use at home for home use, or you can't have open fires, you can't have barbecues. The propane applications have to be 10 feet away from each other, so it's not really conducive to the wharf to use.
Exactly. Yeah, that's So is that okay? So it's 10. The propane heaters would be 10 feet away from each other, correct?
So instead of me explaining to you, that's is where we need you guys to submit plans, diagrams, what you want, or what type of heaters you want to put out there. And that way we can review it, because we do have to do it the UL listed. We do have to make sure it doesn't overload the electrical load, and you have to look at there's 100 different things that I'm looking at that nobody else is looking at, and it's all coming down to life safety. So I can't say Scales can do that or can have that, and then you can't, because that here might not be appropriate for your application. So
I got you.
Saying, don't just look at your neighbors and see what they're buying, because they might.
I agree. Yeah, no, I've learned lessons, lots of lessons learned through all of this. Yeah, and again, again, where we are, I can't change geography. It is what it is. And we are just at the most narrow spot on the wharf. So, and personally, I don't feel comfortable with the propane heaters. I really don't. Even if they were 20 feet apart or 30 feet apart, I just, there's children, there's animals, there's families. No, at home, what anybody wants to do, that's their own thing. I just don't think they're a good thing on that wharf.
And that's why, it's really a case-by-case basis, and it's important for all of before any business does any work, whether that's electrical or gas or what have you, to reach out to our staff and apply for the permit. Thank you, Laura, for all of your questions. We really appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of the questions that you asked are on everyone's mind, and we want to make sure that we get to any other questions that folks have. And Laura, if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to us offline.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your help.
Thank
Nat,
you.
before we have the next speaker, I just need to make one comment. Right now, during these very uncertain times with COVID, the city manager is assigned or has signed emergency orders, which allows us to waive zoning review. And that's why you see tents going up in parking lots that maybe block parking spaces. You see all sorts of things being installed on the wharf without architectural review. I do want to let you know, when we start talking about permanent structures, they may be permanent for now, but at some point in the future after COVID, both the California Coastal Commission, if we're located in a coastal zone, and the city of Monterey may have to come back and do additional permitting. I think clearly we're looking at this through next summer. And I think in the future, we'll see permanent outdoor seating on the wharf. But I do want to let you know that Coastal Commission has contacted me and they're aware of the outdoor seating. And I think everybody is just trying to hold on during this period and allow COVID to hopefully resolve itself before we follow up on formal permitting for land use regulations. So I just wanted to explain that. Thank you.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Kim, for the background. Yep, there's that added element with Coastal Commission that we have here. So, all right, let's see if any other questions. I know we're at the roughly 45-minute mark, 42-minute mark. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand virtually or dial *9 if you're calling in by telephone. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and ask Hans Uslar, our city manager, to say some final comments. Oh, and one last thing, Fire Chief Panholzer did post here. You can see on the Zoom screen how to reach fire prevention for all of the jurisdictions that we serve: Monterey, Pacific Grove, Carmel, and Sand City. You can dial 831-646-3908. Also email us at fireprevention@monterey.org. The email address, as Lori Lynn mentioned, for building inspection is gogreen@monterey.org. So, and then you can also find us online at monterey.org/fire or monterey.org/building. And now over to Hans for final comments and thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Laura, thank you for all your excellent questions. I think you prototyped a lot of questions for a lot of other folks listening in today. Kim's point with respect to the Coastal Commission is an important one to note. Basically, when Kim said they contacted us about the outdoor seating in some areas, we took this also as a notification that they put us on notice that at one time in the hopefully very, very near future, they like to reverse course and get into the business again of being notified about all those things. So this is a good sign if we have to notify the Coastal Commission, because hopefully we are out of COVID-19 by then. So I always try to see that the glass is half full. We are very supportive of any good ideas that you have. We want to make it happen. And you heard today from various of our staff members, including the fire marshal, the fire chief, the building official, the code compliance person, that we all try to get it done. We try to also set the regulations in the background into effect using the authority that I currently have to just issue the waivers or the regulations and let the council approve that in the rear. Which means always 2 to 4 weeks later, but we want to be reactive and we want to make it happen. We cannot bend certain rules. If the California Department of Public Health said a tent has to be open according to those guidelines, and they came up with some more directions today, this morning, we have to do that and we have to enforce it. And I'm committed to not compromise on any of those issues as well. But we want to, as Michelle said, there are always options out there and we want to make it happen. And Laura's Krabby Jim's is really at a choke point on the wharf. It doesn't have the infrastructure that other restaurants have. So we'll help and figure something out there as well. On the big picture, the numbers today, again, in the county of Monterey, 56 new cases between yesterday and today. The hospitals are very full right now. And also on the peninsula, the numbers are increasing somewhat. It's not just in the zip codes that we are monitoring for quite a while now. It's also here on the peninsula, we see those numbers rising. I try to be totally transparent with you. The expectation is that maybe today, maybe tomorrow, Sacramento will come down with additional regulations. We kind of expect that. We haven't heard anything else than what I just shared with you, but there's a general hold your breath expectation that something may come down looking at the numbers and the state of California, that the governor might issue different new regulations. Again, we have nothing else to go off than just sharing with you that we feel something is coming. I just checked this morning with the Monterey County administrative officer, asked him if he knew anything, and what he knew I just shared with you. We think something is coming, but we don't know what's coming right now. On the bright side, when you follow the national discussion, the state of California will receive a little less than a million vaccines in the next couple of weeks. As soon as approved, the first wave of, I think, 750,000 vaccines will be flown to the state. The federal government distributes it to the state, and then the distribution of the vaccines is up to the state and the counties. So be assured that as your city, we are inquiring also with the Monterey County Health, what's your plan for distribution? And of course, you've heard about it. The CDC is talking about distributing it first to healthcare workers and vulnerable populations. Again, this hasn't been decided yet, but there is definitely the end in sight right now. So we all want to work through that. We know the challenges. We can find solutions for a lot of things. We will not compromise when it gets to public health and public safety, but everything else, we are game. We want to try to make it happen. With that, I really appreciate you guys for all listening in to us. And as always, I really appreciate the support we are getting from you. And we will get through that. And the end is in sight. We got to hold our breath a little longer, but we are getting there. And my hope is that sooner or later we will talk not about overcrowding on the wharf and managing social distancing, but having great events again all over town, including the wharf, and other areas. With that, thank you guys for listening. And if you have any questions, we are here. All of our staff members are working very hard and are responsive, I want to say even 24/7. So if you have questions, contact us. We will get to you and we will help everyone who wants help. With that, thank you everyone for tuning in. Nat, thank you for being a wonderful facilitator, and have a great day and a safe week. Bye-bye.